Hey there, so I wanted to do a garden update for you. Yeah, so here we go. So this right here, oh, there goes a chipmunk. See him? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, there's been a lot of chipmunks around here lately. My cat isn't doing his job. Yeah, so this right here is my compost bed. I'm trying out a thing where that makes a lot of sense to me, but basically you don't plant anything in one bed in the year, and you just basically use it as a compost pile. You just throw your compost directly onto the bed instead of into a separate compost pile. The idea of that is that you don't lose as many nutrients into just right underneath your individual compost pile. It would instead go into your garden beds. So you basically just leave one garden bed clear, or don't plant anything in it, and then use it as a compost pile. And then the next year you would switch to a different one, to a different bed, and use it as a compost pile. And you just rotate like that every year. Let's see, here we've got four different varieties of some grains that I was trying. I got some seeds from a man named Joseph Lofthouse, who he has a thing called Landrace. What does he call it? Landrace Garden Seeds. And that. So we've got let's see, we got barley here, flax, wheat. Yeah, that's wheat. And this is something that I don't remember because it's somehow gotten erased from that little tag. Anyways, so they're doing all right. I'm probably just going to let these all go to all the way to seed and just collect these seeds for more next year, because this is hardly anything to be able to actually harvest for food. Let's see. More. There's a nice lupin with pretty flowers. Here's another chipmunk. Oh wait, no, that's some kind of lizard. Let's see if I can find it. I don't see many lizards around here. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't see many lizards around here. Very cool. Let's see. This is my hill of beans. All the little beans are coming up. Here's one, another. These should all be bush beans. There's some spinach that's going to seed now here as well. Here we got a little patch of radishes. I recently thinned them out up to about right here, and then I got bored. So that they hopefully will produce more radishes. There's that lizard again. Let's see if I can get you a closer view. If anybody knows what kind of lizard that is, it looks like some kind of skink, actually. I don't know. These here, I believe, were fava beans? I don't entirely remember, but I think that this hill I planted fava beans. Not fava beans. These are Tepari beans. Tepari beans, not fava. I don't think I have any fava beans. They're coming up pretty nice. Putting on some leaves. They don't look the greatest, but this is still a very new garden bed. And I figure as the years go on and as I put more and more mulch down that it will get better. Oh, that's right, I forgot that here we've also got, intermixed with all of the weeds, we have some, I think this is it? No, this is it. Yeah, here's some garlic. Here's a better view. There's some garlic in there. There's another, oh yeah, here's another garlic. Oh, also, yeah, here's a big onion. I just planted a yellow onion that I got from the store. Something interesting it looks like it's sort of split into 4 or 5 separate little bulbs down there. I did not know that if you just planted one that it would do that. But these ones are going to flower, so I'm going to try and collect the seeds from them. This one, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to flower or not. Its flower stalk is pretty pitiful. Same thing with well, this one doesn't have a flower stalk, and this one looks pretty pitiful as well. All right, let's go over to the next one. Well, here you see my rhubarb plant doing pretty well. It's going to seed now. I'm going to try and collect some of these seeds and plant some, but it seems to be easier just to propagate by splitting the roots with rhubarb, but try and get some genetic variety going on. And then underneath I've got some squash. Got a whole bunch of squashes growing now. These little green leaves popping up. Same thing over here with this hill. Squash, 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 squash. I tried an experiment here to throw a bunch of lentil seeds up onto this bank. This bank is really steep, so it's hard to actually plant anything on it. I just tossed a whole bunch up there, and it looks like some of them took. Not nearly as many as I had hoped, but yeah, see, there's one. There's a few more up there. Let's keep going down this way. I was trying to get some watermelon. These watermelons come from Joseph Lofthouse as well. He says that they supposedly do decent in the short growing season that we have. I only had one come up though, actually germinate. That's disappointing. I don't know if I was doing something wrong, maybe. Here is some something called Amber's Holus Oats. So that's coming up nice. This hill has a bunch of cucumbers on it. They're coming up. Little cucumber plants. Not all of them came up. I planted about like 3 on each side of these little stone steps. I made these stone steps so that I could actually get up the hill. Here, let's go ahead and do that. It's kind of precarious, but it works, and it's really hard to go back down that way. So I just go around this direction. Here's some strawberries. These strawberries were getting nibbled on by something, so I put this little cage thing on top of it. Here's looks like a sunflower of some kind. Sunflowers seem to do really well around here. I guess you'll notice there's a ton of alfalfa all around here too. Alfalfa, I actually kind of like alfalfa. It does really well in our climate here, and it's a nitrogen fixer, and it has really deep roots, which is helpful in this dry climate. And it's really easy to just, if you want, you can just fold them over if they're getting too tall for things that are around it. They fold over really easily like that. So it makes great, I guess it builds the soil really well. Alright, coming back down into this last little bed area. I've got some somewhat sad looking tomatoes here. They're called Stupus tomatoes. They are putting on some flowers, so maybe they will do all right. Here's one of the things that I don't remember the name of, but it's doing really well. It likes it a lot here. I guess here's the thyme going to flower here now. There's another thing that I don't remember the name of, but it's doing all right. I've got in here, in between all of these weeds, a little bit of cilantro coming up. I I was struggling with cilantro last year. I didn't get hardly any at all, but this year it seems like it's doing a little bit better, but not hardly anything enough to call home about. Sage doing very well here, putting on some beautiful purple flowers. Some mint. I had forgotten that I had planted this, but it just popped up recently and it's doing really well. There's a mini bell, what is that called? Mini bell SWT, oh, sweet pepper, mini bell sweet pepper. There's a little tiny tomato start from one of Joseph Lofthouse's varieties. I don't know, it's probably pretty late now. Hopefully it can get up to size in enough time. It's, by the way, it's the end of June now, so those should already be big if I were to want to get anything out of it. Now these, I don't know what this is. I was wondering, they kind of look like potato leaves to me, but I don't remember planting anything right here. And I haven't seen any other weeds around here that look similar to that. Anyways, here is a tomatillo, green tomatillo plant, putting on some flowers there. Focus. Anyways, there is lovage. This lovage was about like this tall before, but the main stalks kind of just died off and fell over. I have noticed that there's this like foam stuff here at the base. I'm guessing that's some type of insect that's making that, sucking on the stems of this lovage. If you've never tried lovage, it's like really powerful celery. So one little leaf of that and you're pretty much good if you want celery flavor in your food. This tomato seems like it's doing all right. It's called orange something, orange amana, I don't know, anana. It's doing pretty good. This is a sad looking nasturtium. They have edible flowers that are really pretty. There's a walking onion going to flower, it seems. Here is a sad looking Helios hybrid hot tomato, or not tomato, pepper, hot pepper. And this is what's called this little teensy tiny thing. Probably not going to make it at all, but I'm just going to keep giving it a chance. It's called bird's eye. It's a type of pepper as well. And then there's this thing that I don't remember the name of, but it's got these cool little flower heads going on. What else? Oh, right. Here's some more of the Joseph Lofthouse tomato starts. And here is that one watermelon that that germinated. We'll see how well it does. Alright. I guess that's pretty much everything for over here. I'll bring you back to a separate part of my garden. Or, I don't know, I guess my whole plot is my garden. I like to plant things all over the place. Alright, here is this little hill. I planted a bunch of peas on it. You can see them coming up, and some of them are starting to flower. Some of them have gotten nibbled on by other things. Where's one that's gone to flower? I don't see any flowers yet on these. I thought I did earlier. Yeah, anyways, they're coming up. There's another little onion. I don't remember planting that. I think it just kind of popped up from nowhere. And then here behind me is my experimental leaf mulch potato garden, which actually seems to be doing pretty well. Whoop, almost dropped my phone. Yeah, so they're popping up now. All I did was plant them in this deep layer of leaf mulch. I got some red red potatoes, and did I say tomato earlier? This is a potato garden. Potato. Red potatoes were over here, and those are the ones that are coming up now. And over on this side, I planted russet potatoes, and I'm not sure, they haven't come up yet, so I'll keep going. I don't know if they're gonna come up or not, but there's a pea that's flowering. Planted more like peas all along this whole area. Over there, I mulched with a leaf mulch and then planted the peas. Over here, I just kind of hand sowed them, and I don't see many that actually came up in this area, but I did hand sow them over here, and some of them did come up. I mean, you can see one here. Looks like it's a pretty nice one. So, I mean, hand sowing is much easier than sowing in the ground, but you obviously get a much lower germination rate. So if you have a whole ton of seeds, then I would suggest hand sowing. Otherwise, if you are trying to conserve your seeds, then direct sowing in the ground is probably the way to go. Alright, over here. Previous owner of this plot used this area as a firing range. But I haven't done that yet. I just ended up throwing a whole ton of lentils around in here. I haven't really checked to see if they're coming up or not. I can look around real quick, but I don't see anything. By just a quick scan, they're probably still really tiny because I only did that like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And over here, I have some trees that are growing. This one, I can't remember if this was a plum or an apricot. It's one of the two. It's kind of hard to see if the sun's getting in the way. There you go. Yeah, I don't know what the difference between a plum or an apricot is whenever you or what the leaves look like when they're little tiny ones. And there's another one over here. I've been trying this experiment with just a tin can with the bottom cut out of it as well, both the top and bottom, and stack some rocks up around it to prevent things from knocking it over really easily. I guess the idea is that it dissuades things from nibbling on the very bottom of the seedling? What's it called? Seedling? Yeah. You can hear my neighbor over there working on his fence line. He's creating a berm fence. You can hear the excavator going now. A hugel berm fence. So it's a hugel culture. So it's wood and dirt that makes a big thing that actually looks a lot like this. It's pretty much the exact same thing. So you can see, you just take some dirt on one side of it and then you mount it up over here. I think he's taking dirt from both sides of it though. Anyways, and then it makes a nice big berm area. The idea is to try and keep out pests, mostly pesky deer that will come and devastate your garden. Oh, there's some raspberries. I planted some raspberries right there. Doing all right. All right, I think that's all in this area. we'll go to a different area. Oh, I see a little ground squirrel over there. I don't know if you can see him. Try and zoom in. You see him? See his little head? Yeah. Those things, they haven't given me too many issues yet, but I think if you leave them unchecked that they can devastate a garden as well. Alright, next area. Alright, here's an experiment using sawdust as a mulch. I planted corn in a couple rows here. It's coming up. Looks like it does look a little yellow, so it's probably lacking nitrogen. I have heard that wood shavings like this, if they're not aged properly, can, I forget what it's called, they basically just suck up the nitrogen. So that might be what's going on here, or not, I don't know. Just doing an experiment. Not super scientific though. Here's the pile of sawdust that I got from a place in town. So part of the reason that it's over here is that I want to age it properly, and I also want to keep it away from the garden in case it has herbicides or something in it that could be harmful to my garden. Because the last thing I want is to put something that's going to start killing all my plants and then have to basically start a garden bed over from scratch. So I was just going to leave it here for a while and then plant some beans or something in it to test to see if the beans can grow all right. Yep. And then over here, you can see my little corn fence. Let's go on in. Hard to do one-handed. There we go. So yeah. Corn. Yep, you can see some of they're coming up. Like here's one. Here's a corn. There's a corn. There's another corn. There's a whole bunch in here. Anyways, they're coming up all right. They actually look like they're about the same color as the, like that sort of yellowy color that the other corn was over by where I used the sawdust mulch. So I don't know if it is just the sawdust or if it's just the soil is poor here. It's probably just poor soil. The soil is not the best, but you make do with what you got. So far the fence working really well. Hasn't fallen over. Okay, I'm gonna need to bring you back after I close this gate. All right. So there's the corn fence, and I also planted over here on this side of the road 4 or 5 rows of corn as well. They're coming up. I kind of wanted to just experiment and see how much deer pressure we're actually getting. I wanted to see how well it does outside the fence versus inside the fence. Alright, and then over here I noticed that there are some little maple trees coming up out of this leaf compost, or leaf mulch. I just dumped all this leaf matter here from last fall and got quite a few little maple seedlings popping up. Maybe we can actually get a deciduous tree growing around here. I'm sick and tired of all these conifers everywhere. Now don't get me wrong, I like conifers, but one can have too much of a good thing, you know? Then over here, I planted another raspberry. The raspberry seems to be doing all right. And then here where you can see all this downed grass, I planted a bunch of black locust seeds. That was only a few days ago, so obviously they're not going to be sprouted yet, but I'm trying to build a living fence around the whole property. That's I guess the end goal would be I think that living fences are the best type of fence. They don't rot, and it's living, it's alive. I don't know, and it makes, I've seen some that are really amazing. They're beautiful. But yeah. I guess that's about it for plants and garden tour update thing. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you later. There's Cloud rolling in the dirt. What are you doing, Cloud? You silly cat.